Hi everyone, this is Lidia from Learning Hungarian Anywhere, and today I'm going to talk with one of my private learners, Onome. Szia, Onome!
Hello, szia!
Szia, hogy vagy?
Jó vagyok, el vagyok.
El vagyok, meg vagyok. Okay, super, super. And today we start with a Hungarian conversation. We were chatting Hungarian, and after that, I will ask her a lot of questions about learning Hungarian. She will share some tips and tricks how to learn Hungarian, and we talk about some difficulties, challenges as well. Okay. Onome, bemutatkoznál? Mesélnél magadról egy kicsit magyarul?
Rendben. Szia mindenki, Onome vagyok, és nigériai vagyok. Most élek Balasagyamaton, és kórházban dolgozom, gyógytornász vagyok. És múlt év kezdtem magyarul tanulni, és Magyarországon élek. Most körülbelül 7 éves most.
7 éve már Magyarországon. Aha.
Igen.
De jó. És szeretsz magyarul tanulni?
Szeretem,
és
de
nem.
nehéz. Egy kicsi nehéz. De nagyon érdekes nyelv magyarul. Nagyon érdekes nyelv.
Van esetleg valamilyen hobbid?
Igen. Szeretek olvasni, és táncolni egy
Olvasni
kicsit.
és táncolni, az nagyon jó.
Igen.
Nagyon érdekes.
Igen.
Rendben, van-e kedvenc magyar ételed, mint például a töltött káposzta, vagy a lángos, vagy valami édesség, mint a dobostorta?
Halaszli. Nagyon finom. Szerintem halaszli.
Azt én is
Nagyon
szeretem.
finom. Igen.
A halászlé is finom.
Langos is, de nem olyan szeretem, de halaszli nagyon finom.
Ez a kedvenced. Aha.
Igen, ez a kedvencem.
Oké. Milyen városokban voltál még Magyarországon? Például jártál-e már Budapesten? Biztos voltál már Budapesten is.
Pécsen
Pécsen.
tanultam, és Budapesten dolgoztam, és egy kicsit diákmunkás dolgoztam.
Értem.
Igen.
Aha.
És most Balasagyarmaton élek.
Aha. Szeretsz ott élni? Jó Balassagyarmaton lakni?
Jó, nagyon csendes, nagyon kedves emberek, és igen, mindenki segíthez. Ez nagyon jó.
Az nagyon jó, ha mindenki nagyon segítőkész. Aha. Mit lehet csinálni Balassagyarmaton? Például lehet moziba menni, étterembe menni, lehet biciklizni vagy túrázni? Milyen lehetőségek vannak?
Balassagyarmaton lehet biciklizni, mert nagyon az udvar egyenesen. Nincs hegy, csak egyenes utca.
Jaj, de jó. Aha.
Igen, és nagyon könnyű, és nagyon érdekes. Balasagyarmaton van múzeum, van a Palóc Múzeum, van szerintem nem tudom, elfelejtettem a nevet, de az nagyon érdekes, és nagyon jó. Sok fényképez, sok fotó, sok fényképezés. Nagyon szép hely.
Igen, ez nagyon érdekesen hangzik. Akkor Balassagyarmat egy jó kisváros. Sok mindent lehet csinálni ott, és múzeum is van. De jó. Jól van, Anna, meg köszönöm szépen. Örülök, hogy beszéltünk magyarul, és akkor most egy kicsit angolul folytatjuk. Because I have so many questions, and I'm really curious about your experiences with learning Hungarian. Let's see. Let's start with your favorite word. Do you have a favorite Hungarian word?
Yeah, I really love not a word, just like a sentence. The as a boy, I
Mm-hmm.
really love it. It's maybe because I work in the hospital, and when I hear the people say it, it sounds nice to me. It's something that I
Uh-huh.
really like.
Uh-huh.
It's
That's so
nice.
interesting because when somebody says, "Oh, the boy," that doesn't mean anything good. Also, boy, the problem is that doesn't
Yeah,
sound that nice. Yeah, like
yeah. It
not
just sounds
talking
nice
to.
to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Uh-huh. Okay. How often do you speak Hungarian in Balassagyarmat?
I speak it every day. When I go to work, it's completely Hungarian. When I go to the store also, I speak Hungarian. So every day it's Hungarian, Monday to Sunday,
Ah, so
Hungarian.
amazing. Do you find it helpful?
Yes, it's very helpful because it helps me practice. And most times when I listen to, because I am not very perfect, so when I listen to other people, I know how to arrange my sentences and, oh, this is how it should be said. So it's very helpful when I speak with people every day and I
Mm-hmm.
listen to them speak.
Mm-hmm. Do you try to copy them sometimes? You said you listen to these people like every day.
Yes.
Okay, I listen to them. They how they build their sentences. Do you try to copy them sometimes?
Yes. For example, today at work, I was speaking to some of my patients, and somebody just told me, like, I said something, it wasn't completely right. So they
Mm-hmm.
just told me, like, the correct thing, and I kept repeating it. I used it almost the whole day, that particular sentence. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I try to copy them many times,
Mm-hmm.
almost every time, actually.
Mm-hmm. Uh, I think we started to work together a few months ago. I couldn't tell you exactly how many months ago, but why did you feel like you need somebody to help you with this language? Why did you look for a teacher?
I decided to look for a teacher because previously I learned just the Hungarian medical words. And when I finished school, or when I was about to finish from school, I realized that in order to work in Hungary, I needed to learn the language since I'll be dealing with patients and not everyone speaks English. So I needed to learn Hungarian to be able to understand them and also to be able to speak to them. That's why I decided to get a private teacher. Because with a
Mhm,
private teacher, you get to have your sentences corrected. There are questions you have, you can ask you have someone to ask when it's regarding those questions. So I realized I had to get a private teacher for that.
mhm, mhm. Thank you. Okay. Onome, can you please tell me about how you feel when you talk with your colleagues, your Hungarian colleagues at work? Because we talk about this a lot, about your work, and I know you have some break, having a coffee with colleagues, for example. And how does it feel when you can talk in Hungarian? How does it? Mhm,
It feels very, very exciting because, and firstly, I have very pleasant workmates. They are really nice. So they don't even mind, even if it's not perfect, they
mhm,
understand. And it just feels really nice because you get to not just when it's talking about hospital terms, like they talk about things generally. So you get to also join them in the conversation and you get to also make jokes or laugh. So it's not
mhm,
exactly boring at work. You're able to connect even with your workers too. So
mhm,
it feels really good actually that I'm able to understand them and they're able to understand me and we're able to talk about different things apart
mhm.
from hospital. It feels really it feels really great.
I totally agree. So actually, you can make connection with your
Yeah,
friends, colleagues in Hungarian. The language helps you
yeah,
to make connections, and that's
yeah.
important. And
And to even find places because I'm new here and they just they've told me so many things that are very helpful, like places to visit, how to get coupons from the stores and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So it's been very helpful. It's been really great being able to understand Hungarian and also speak Hungarian with
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really great.
Okay. Could you mention your favorite success story? Because you told us about you can go to the store, you can buy what you need, you can ask people where you find, I don't know, a place. But can you remember for one of the best success story when you felt like, wow, I spoke Hungarian and it worked? What was that?
Um, I think I so actually it's going to be regarding the hospital also because that's where I speak Hungarian mostly. I there was a patient I was with. So I was not with him directly. I was with my colleague who was working with him. So I just stood there silently and watching. So the whole time he thought I was a student and I didn't speak Hungarian and I was just watching and everything. So he asked her like where I was from and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
she told him. So the next day, my colleague did not come to work, and I was the one with him. So I started speaking Hungarian to him, and he was like, "Oh, he didn't think I knew how to speak Hungarian, and he didn't because he just thought it was only English." And he's very surprised, and it's pleasant that I'm speaking Hungarian with him, and I can understand everything that he's saying. And then he proceeded to show me his dog. He told me about his family. He told me about things that
Mm-hmm.
places he has been to and everything. It was very happy that I could speak the Hungarian and also could talk to him. So it felt really good that day. It felt really good. And then he also told like his bedside mates, like, um, I speak very good Hungarian and
Wow.
it's so interesting. So yeah, it felt
Okay.
good. It
That's
felt
a
good.
really, really good experience. Yeah, I
Yeah.
see. And I'm sure you experienced how people change, Hungarian people change a little bit when they realize, oh, you speak Hungarian, that's so amazing. We are just so excited and we really
Yeah.
respect those people who learn this difficult language. And we,
Yeah, especially the older ones. They come, they give you a pat on the back, or they just rub you, or they just smile at you. It's pleasant most of the time.
yeah, and they are just so kind and grateful for this
Yeah, yeah,
experience.
yeah.
And they just change because I don't say we are too cold people, but
Mm-hmm.
we need a little more time. And when we meet a foreigner and she or he starts to speak Hungarian, we feel like, oh, I open and I'm happy to talk, and
Exactly.
that's so interesting. And we change a little bit, and I think that's a nice experience. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, okay, cool. Um, I have a few more questions. Let me cheat a little bit. Oh, we haven't talked about some difficulties yet. So now you speak a good level of Hungarian. That person in the hospital told you, ah, she speaks a good Hungarian too. Okay, but I'm sure you had and still have some difficulties, and you have to go through these difficulties. So, what was the most challenging for you?
Um, so I am really finding currently I am finding it difficult with my Hungarian conjugations. So I learn it almost every day and I try to practice. And if you know, you use Hungarian conjugations in almost every sentence. So when I'm speaking with patients, I have to sometimes pause to know what conjugations to use. And then they
Hmm.
find it sometimes difficult because I've had some patients that are just like, name them, they don't understand. So
Nem értem.
I have to repeat, yeah, I have to repeat my sentence so many times for like, oh, yeah. And it's sometimes it's difficult because other people are waiting for me and everyone is just there watching and yeah. So for me to have, because I have to pause and then think about it. Oh my God, what exactly do I use? And then sometimes it's embarrassing, but other times I don't care so much.
Mhm, mhm. But
Yeah.
if you think of what persons, I mean, what suffixes you use most of the time, that would be helpful. For example, usually I talk in the first person, I talk about myself. Én megyek, beszélek, nézek, vásárolok, definite, indefinite conjugation, definite, indefinite suffixes. Also, you use probably the formal
Yeah.
use. Ön beszél, ön néz, ön fekszik, ön megy, sétál, stb. Stb. So definitely you start with the most important suffixes that you use in real life, everyday life. That's helpful. Yeah, that's not the easiest part. It's not easy. I
It's
totally
not
agree.
easy.
And do you have any tips, any ideas how to go through these challenges? So, I mean, talk about motivation, because sometimes you might feel like overwhelmed, like, oh, I just I just try to learn these suffixes, I try to use them, but it's just so hard. I can't do it on my own. So what's your biggest motivation? How do you go through these challenges?
For me, I dedicated a time, like I have a particular time. So even if I don't have a lot of time, I know that this period I
Mhm,
practice Hungarian. And maybe in a day, I realize, oh, there is this problem I have with the Hungarian. So I note that down and I practice it during that practice time to make sure it's something that, and sometimes also watching movies help me because it I am someone who is very pictorial, and watching and then listening also helps me to
mhm,
understand. So I watch them in Hungarian and it's really, really helpful. But the most important thing is practicing every time. That's
mhm,
the most important. Like dedicate a time to practice and just stick with it. You know, if you have a problem, you have to note that particular problem and then work on it. Then when you get better at that problem, you go to the next one. So it's like step by step until,
mhm.
and sometimes it will be very difficult and maybe even frustrating, but then it's
Uh-huh.
something you would have to do because on the long run it feels really good to be able to speak the language with other people. So
Mhm, mhm. Yeah,
mm,
I agree. If you don't save the time, if you don't find the time for practicing this language, that's hard. Because I totally believe you, we need to plan your language journey. And once you have a plan, you have to stick to it. I mean, you can change sometimes, but you have to stick to your steps. You have to make those steps and learn the
yeah.
language every day. Absolutely. One more thing that I wanted to mention, that you are my private learner. You take private lessons with me, but actually I told you I'm thinking about to have you in my group as well from September. That will be a 10-week
Okay.
speaking program. And do you know what? In a speaking program, you have 5 people. I mean, 5 learners. That's the total number of learners, and we create a very friendly environment and safe environment for practicing the language. So I'm just wondering if there are any students out there who would love to join us from September, uh, this small group, and practice this language together. Because, at some point, people should try what they know. It's easy for
Mm-hmm.
you because you work in Hungarian, you live in Hungary, but some people just practice a lot, and they never really use the language. So it can
Yeah.
be so hard for those who, who can't use the language. Do you agree with me? Is it helpful to use the
Yeah.
language, not just practicing and learning?
Yes, it is honestly because when I just learned the Hungarian in class, I use it only in class and not outside.
Exactly, exactly.
So it didn't really stick. Because I wasn't using the language, so it was difficult for me until I started having to learn and then practice every day, and then it got better. So I noticed that in a week of me working, I got better at speaking the language. So it's very, very helpful. It's very important to actually practice the language. Try to get people to speak with, or if maybe a Hungarian friend and you just practice
Mhm,
with them. It's very useful and it's very
mhm,
important to practice
mhm.
the language.
Yes, absolutely. I just realized some people stuck at learning the language, practicing
Mm-hmm.
learning it, because I'm not at the level yet, at that level yet. I'm not good enough. I'm not a good person who can. I'm sorry. I'm not a person who can speak a good Hungarian at this moment, and they just hold them back from
Mm-hmm.
success. So I totally agree. We have to, like push ourselves a little bit and try the language and use the language, because at the end of the day we all want to use this language, and we all want to speak this language and communicate. Okay, if we make mistakes, that's not a problem. We can always learn more and we can always practice more, but we want to use this language and we want to communicate.
Yeah.
As long as we understand people and they understand us, that communication, and we can always improve and work on our Hungarian. Okay, Onome, köszönöm szépen. Thank you very much. It was so helpful, so many
My
helpful
pleasure.
information. So thank you so much for sharing it with us. Köszönöm
Thank you.
szépen.
Welcome.
Szia,
It's my
Onome.
pleasure.